I didn't open up the case because no one believed me. Because he has already spread the lies. He's still there. I want the government to play its role.
Bekangishaya but always bengithatha yena ngimbeke phambili mina ngiza emuva. Every day besiphila leyo mpilo leyo makadakiwe. Kwalokhu kuchubeka but ungaboni mina ukuthi lo muntu uyangihlukumeza. Njalo makangishayile abanama excuse nami ngiwa-accept ama-excuse wakhona and always I used to blame myself ukuthi mhlambe yimi engimchukuluzile, mhlambe yimi engenze wrong. Wagwetshwa wathola 2 life sentence 50 years. Kuthe 2014 leyo savula i-organization i-Davidson Stand Up ngathola abantwana abama-victim of rape and abasaba ukukhuluma sibasiza labo bantwana labo nabomama kuma-domestic violence. No one has a right ukuthi akuhlukumeze. No one ukuthi acontrol impilo yakho ukuthi kumele uphile kanjani ngasiphi isikhathi.
Minister, we wanted to show these visuals just to illustrate how serious this issue that we've just spoken about is, and the lives that have been destroyed by us as men, in particular, to the innocent women. We just wanted to show these visuals, just the seriousness of this matter, to this seminar, Minister, that you have invited us to. Now, let us then get the voice of men. Let's hear, let's get the perspective of men who in most instances are the perpetrators of this barbaric act. As I invite Dade Patrick Shai from Kulumandoda Men's Social Movement against GBV. Dade Shai is a celebrated actor who has appeared in numerous stage plays, television productions, and feature films. He is a director, motivational speaker, concept developer, and writer. He is the founder and managing director of Kulumandoda Men's Social Movement against gender-based violence and the prevention of femicide. His slogan is change begins with me, and calls to men to look from within and find ways to actively take part in advocating and taking action to eradicate this bad culture that breeds domestic violence and femicide. Dade Shai, Kulumandoda.
Thank you, Program Director. Dr. Khalurali. And let me say greetings to the Honorable Minister, the Deputy Minister, the HODs who were there, and other head of departments, and also the esteemed NGOs who were there, and greetings to all, protocol observed. I'm going to do this presentation here, and it's structured in a way of probing, asking questions. And I'm hoping that it will give us an idea of where we are and the things that we have done and things that perhaps we have not done. And I premise this gender-based violence and sexual harassment in the workplace with a statement of fact. And I go on to say, women around the world are victims of gender-based violence, sexual harassment, assault in the workplace, home, and in public places. Women are asked for sexual favors, exposed to sexual jokes, comments, and unwanted physical contact. Gender-based violence and sexual harassment in the workplace remains underreported because victims are blamed, they are not believed, they are discredited and suffer stigmatization and often have to deal with constructive dismissal tactics. So here I've tried to paint a picture or give an understanding of what actually is sexual harassment. And the question that Majida Baya would ask when we talk about sexual harassment, it's this kind of question: sexual what? Because they don't believe what it is harassment, it is a violation of the rights. Sexual harassment is the act of violating someone by making unwelcome and inappropriate sexual advances and comments. Ajita, men in general, you'll agree with me that we do that quite a lot. When a woman passes, we make remarks, related to melody, we do all these kind of things. That is exactly what we mean by sexual harassment. It is visual, by way of seeing. It can be verbal. It can also be by way of or melody messages and all of it. Now, I've tried to create here perpetrator of sexual harassment in the workplace, just so we begin to see who is this person, who is a sexual harasser and predator. It's a person who has position. It's a person who has, and sometimes the perpetrator does not have a position, but then he also likes giving complimentaries to the supposedly would-be victim. And they make promises for all kinds of things. And when their promises, their advances are not met, they become they use intimidation. Now, for the perpetrator in the workplace to be functional, they need a victim. And a victim to find herself in that space. She is driven by dreams. She wants employment. Therefore, dreams plus employment can can create victimhood in the workplace. Because this person is driven, poverty. When someone, she's got dreams, the challenges to raise a banner, they are single parents, and companies give them mobility, the department gives them work, and yet there are these predators who are the position driven. Position is power, right? Sexual harassment and gender-based violence equals to crimes against humanity. There is no any other way we can describe that. Now, in this slide, I'm trying to ask you, could I be a sexual harasser or a predator? And I think, Majita, this will give you an opportunity to do self-assessment and introspection of self. There are a lot of things that goes on. And sometimes I want to believe Majita, because of the cultural entitlement, as the minister has indicated, in Alopeza, people feel whatever they do are right in doing that. It is their right, it is their cultural right. Because I'm a man, I'm entitled to do this in the workplace. Position. Now, when you have a position in the workplace, how do you use that position? You use it to influence the outcome for the employer, or of the employee, rather, of the employee. Here's this young person who comes to work. She is driven by dreams, and we're not in your position. And it might not necessarily be an executive position. It might also be just managerial, or just as a team, as a working team. You are entrusted, you are instructed to guide this person, take her through the process, and you use that position to begin to advance your interest. And how do you do that? You know, you start giving the complimentaries like, hey, so beautiful, oh, you know, yellow bone, you know, all physical attributes that you use to groom the employee. You are grooming the employee, you are grooming this woman to finally accept that which you intend to. And then, of course, while Santan Umuruta taking it through the ropes, then you make promises. You know, baby, if Ukaeta so, I promise you, I'm going to make sure that you get promoted. I'm going to make sure that your privileges, you sharp, your package, and if you move from this position to that other position, you know, package, everything, salary, incentives, you're going to get a salary hike, and so many things. And all of these things are clearly intended for access, so that I believe you are an enabler, you can advance it, you can make her workplace much more beneficial for her. Now, when these things are not met, when you find a woman or a young girl who knows her rights, and she says, no, sir, I am not going to accede to your demands, your promises and all of that. You are in no power to make those changes in my life. And then you start using intimidation. So if you are a person of higher position, intimidation works, because you can decide whether this person works or this woman does not work, right? And intimidation, you subject the victim to, it's constructive dismissal tactics. Omlela, how useless she is, she can't cope, and you start giving them work or responsibilities outside their responsibility, outside their job descriptions. So they must come and clean your offices, just so you can victimize this person. I feel useless with all the qualifications they have. You use that power to really displace and disfocus. Now, in this next slide, I'm trying to show you the prevalence of sexual predators active in the Department of Basic Education workplaces. And these are just stats that are pulled out. It's not national stats, These are stats for Northern Cape, where they say in 2019, there were 279 cases of sexual molestation, young girls were pregnant, by teachers, impregnated by teachers, and out of the 279, 166 were finalized. But I still ask the question, what do we mean these 166 cases were finalized? What exactly happened to the perpetrators, those who were found guilty? Because finalization of those cases means there was a guilt verdict on the alleged perpetrators. So what happened to them? Do we take them and post them by second colon setting, or do we make sure that they cease, they cannot practice anywhere where kids are, but after posting as teachers and as educators? So those are the questions that I think we need to begin to ask, so that we can put a finger on the perpetrators to make sure that they are outside the circuit. But also, are they outside? If we get them out of the system, we confine them to communities. Are therefore communities safe with those people out there? And there are also 50 which were dismissed. The question is, what do we mean there are 50 cases that were dismissed? Does this therefore not speak to the culture, the whole discreditor the victims and not giving them the support that they need? On what basis were these 50 cases dismissed? Is it because maybe they held higher positions, or maybe they had connections in higher places that these cases were dismissed? How could it be that the victim can stand up and say, I was violated by so and so, and yet we find it easy not to believe the victim? We're basing our findings on what? On what? Now, the second column, there were 92 cases pending, 92. Now, if you've got 92 cases that are pending, or you had 92 cases that were pending, where are they now? And why are they pending? Why is it difficult to conclude on these cases? Is it because investigation is not thorough? Are there other means that these perpetrators are using, are deploying, dispensing to make sure that they are supported? Is it because the system, patriarchy, protects these people whose cases are pending now? And I also want us to begin to question ourselves, what is the gender ratio? Because yes, the majority of the victims are sexual harassment, gender-based violence, and femicide, as we are seeing it in the country, it is women. It is women who are getting raped. It is women who are being beaten up. It is women who have to always look behind, who am I next? It is them in the majority. But we also want to submit where we know there are boys and men who are also sexually harassed, even in their school premises. And those stories are not coming out. Those cases are not emerging. We know for sure sodomy, it's one of the things that the young boys are exposed to. So the predatory male teacher does not only target women. There are those that would sodomize Banababa Shiman. And then we wonder why this boy is so violent and angry. It is because he also was sodomized. Then he takes it out on young girls and women, because they are the weakest, because he felt weak. Now he wants to affirm himself. So I'm just saying that maybe we need to also start looking quite intensely and look at the behavior of the victims and behavior of the young boys in there, how they are criminalized by some of the actions, sodomy, sexual harassment, because they can't speak, the culture silence. But then the question is, what are the findings of finalized cases? Are there boys or teachers, male teachers, who also have been sexually harassed? Because position, it doesn't matter whether it's women or men, position gives you power. If that position is not used properly, it can be very destructive. I looked at their report, which was tabled to Parliament, in 2019 by the Deputy Director General, Dr. Grenville Whittle. He said, out of the 275 cases of sexual misconduct against educators reported since April 2019, that's what I said, 166 have been finalized, with 92 still pending, said the Director of Basic Education General Dr. Grenville Whittle. Now there's a total of 50 educators who have been dismissed stemming from these cases. If you dismiss the 50, as I did ask, where do they go? Are we merely moving them to another post, another school? Are we making sure that they never ever get to operate? The question, the big question is that we as men must begin to ask ourselves, what was your contribution in these deaths as a man? What was the right thing to do for you? Because the perpetrator of sexual harassment in the school environment, they speak as Majida. I mean, we sit and talk and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, Ufit, Umonte, Okare, Yamuhala, Last, and all of them. Hey, Bonawanole, hey, Tunika Yapering, hey, Wanolo Umtwitse, and all of that. Now, me, I'm listening to you saying this. Hence the question, what is it that you've really done? Did you know, Koroko Kimberley, and this is scary, 30 pupils were pregnated by teachers in one school in the Northern Cape. One school, 30 students, 30 learners, sexually open to sexual exploitation or exploration, and 30 of them in one school. Now, that is a serious indictment on the teachers, the male teachers in the Department of Basic Education. You're entrusted with the future and the dreams of our young people. And now when you get in there, all you see is an opportunity to have 30 kids pregnant in one school. It's a serious indictment on us, Majida. What is it that we are not doing right? And I'm asking the question to the male teachers there. What would you do different next time, as in that day? Because you fulfill the function of the father during the course of educating this child. You are a leader. You are not only an educator, you are a father. What is it you are going to do next? 30 people's pregnant, Kanjani, Tuang, Ulindati. In his opening speech in Parliament in 1994, former President Nelson Mandela said, freedom cannot be achieved unless women have been emancipated from all forms of oppression. Now, you ask yourself, how have you, as a man, as a teacher, deprived women in your space of their freedom? Freedom of movement, freedom of dress, what they should look like. Every time they have to cover themselves because they know you're looking at them, you sexualize, you're making these things. What is it? Have you not done that well? So when you introspect, have a conversation with yourself, so some jita or grand, Lina, I have done this. I've looked at this person and I sexualized mapuna. Is not that depriving women the dignity, the respect that is enshrined in our Constitution? You know, we have the Bill of Rights, Mohai. We've got the best Constitution, right? And the best. But is that Constitution at our curriculum, curriculum? No. When I'm about to vandalize a schoolgirl sexually, when I'm about to harass a school teacher, a schoolgirl sexually, do I ever think of their basic human rights, their dignity, that this kid will never be the same tomorrow? Because rape alters, changes the life of the victim forever. This person will never be the same again. Now the question is, have you used your sexual desire now to violate the rights of women, to deprive them of their dignity, to make them feel like they are less human to make them feel like, hey, have you used that masculinity, that patriarchy, to violate? Now, if you begin to ask yourself these questions, I'm sure you begin to have that conversation, which I had in my transformative journey to be where I am, from having been a perpetrator of domestic violence in my house to being the activist that I am. I had these questions, I had these conversations with myself. Now, how do we turn the tide against gender-based violence in the workplace, sexual harassment? We say, men act. After you've asked yourself these questions, did I promote, Now, what is your action as Motuamon? We've got the constitution and the minister, the laws that we have in the country, and by the time we go to the Justice Department, it is late. The damage is done. It is therefore incumbent upon you and I, as Batubabanna, in our everyday life, in our everyday interaction with girl child and women in general, to act in a particular manner. We have to be responsible and responsive. And acting responsible means we are able to call out on those of us who make disparaging remarks. They share these remarks with us about women, about young girls, how they look, how they sexualize women in general. It is my responsibility. You and I, we have to begin sikulume singamajita, and if it needs be, we must make them out and report them to the relevant structures within the school. Let us not wait until the damage is done. Let us not wait until 30 kids are pregnant in your school. Some guys knew what these perpetrators were planning, but they kept quiet. So men did not act. We have to be able to preempt. If this person says this, makes this unpleasantly comment about a woman, about a girl child in school uniform, what is he likely to do? The next thing, he's going to action his desires. His words are going to be actioned. So I should be able, you and I, as much, we should be able to preempt his actions and then take the necessary step to prevent him from doing so. And the necessary step in preventing him is first talking to him and say, Emre, whatever you do, as ni correct, you are going to damage the future of this person. If it's a school kid, this school kid will never be the same. You are creating an unworkable environment for your colleague who is a woman in this space. So it is not correct, and you cannot continue to do this in my name. And if he fails to respond and change his ways, let me be the first one to report him. Let me be the first one to take him to the union. Let me be the first one to call the cops on him and say, this, as an interested party, according to the Domestic Violence Act, as an interested party who seeks to defend the perpetrator, the victim, I have all the right to go out there and say, so and so is planning to do A, B, C, D. He's saying this and that, and the law will then take action against that person. But it is my responsibility to do so. Now, these are the things that I think we should do. You see, this is a beautiful slide. You've got a beautiful couple. They ooze our family. They ooze the Constitution of South Africa. They kumunadi more. So, they arrived at this because the woman got the support from this guy. This guy was very supportive. He goes on to call Majita to say, let us support victims of gender-based violence and call each other out as men so that we can have this kind of a picture in the workplace where women are confident, they can trust us, they believe that we've got good intentions, that we mean well when we say, my sister, this is how you do things, that I don't extend my hand, touch it to the body, intentionally. So that is the kind of a man we see in that picture, who makes sure that the woman is supported to be that kind of a man. So the second one, mutual respect. Men must stop objectifying Batho ba basadi, sexualizing them. It is our responsibility. When the minister says re-socialize, how do we humanize Batho ba banna? It will take me and you to humanize the other men who are not humanized, who are cannibals, who are sexual predators. It requires you and I to make sure these people are human. Because we come when renali di phoofolo amongst us, when renali majita a naganang ka tlhogo tse two, ke tlhogo e le tlhogo ya 4-5, and a tlhogo ya 4-5 ha ina ngqondo, e etisa monna ntho tse senang ngqondo. So how do we get Munna to begin to use his head properly, not the headless head? It will take me and you, because we are watching it. We must keep a hawk's eye on each and every one of us. So Majida, to make sure that there is equality, as you can see in the beautiful picture. Once more, mobilize in the workspace. We must mobilize, always be in a state of alert. I call it state of red alert against gender-based violence and femicide. If we are in a state of red alert against gender-based violence, we will surely reduce the perpetuation, gender-based violence. We'll surely remove the numbers, reduce the numbers of femicide. And I cannot agree more with Mama NG to say, kining related keres, kining remacha, kining rebua, kining rekalemel. But Majita, we continue to do that. It is because there is an absence of our voices, there is an absence of our presence in the presence of the carnage that is being declared against or waged against Batho ba basadi. So we must respond, prevent, and protect. But it will take you and I. But most importantly, I want to say, let us own up. There is no shame in coming out and saying, I used to do A, B, C, D. I seek help. I seek change. And I want to be an agent of change in my environment, in my home. There is no shame. Better a man who says, I have done wrong and I've caused you a lot of harm, I've caused you a lot of pain. If you give me a chance to change, and I will commit to change, I will never do this. If we can have 3 more men who can do what I have done, to say, Gense the flop. And I want to join Ndatisha in saying, Rienze the flop. If we can have 500 men who can stand up in this country to say, we have flopped, we have harmed, and we are seeking pardon from Bomme Barona, we seek pardon. We want to commit to a culture of promoter change, because it is us who can speak to change and about change and how difficult it is for Majita just to move from a position of power that we get from a patriarch, a toxic patriarch society or system, to a position where it's equity and equality and there's mutual respect. It is very difficult. It's like moving from a place of knowing to a place of not knowing. But trust me, I have journeyed this journey, and I know it is possible that you and I, we can create the changes. We can be the changes that we want to see. Next slide, please. Right, Refedis in Juala. I am hoping we have asked the right questions, because I was not giving answers, but I was just probing to say, these are the things that we can do. But we would love to see, there are no kids who are pregnant. But also, we have not, I don't know how we vet my teacher. There are also teachers who have been served with protection orders, but we don't know about them. And they are allowed to come into the school vicinities, into the area of learning, teaching and learning. And yet, in their homes, these guys are they've been served with protection orders. Does the department know how many of the male teachers have been served with protection orders? We don't know. And that allows, this is the cracks in the system, the predator, the person who is driven by anger and hatred He's got to have his marriage governed by a paper. When he comes to school, he takes it out on other female teachers. He takes it out on young girls because he's got a vendetta against his partner at home. And now every woman in the school vicinity resembles the woman who has issued that protection order against it. So I'm just saying, we have to begin to look deeper, get to know the person, get to know. Sometimes we just call the kid or the wife, who may not be a teacher there, to say, by 4, married to our teachers here, and find out, are you safe, Can you tell us what le sharp? That or practice our basic human rights, equality, and all of that in the space. Are the challenges? Can we pose a threat? No, we don't, but we wait until 30 kids are raped, and then we only talk about that. The Carnegie femicide in institutions of higher learning, it's quite troubling. So it means also our education, transformative gender, GBVF, education or curriculum, it's not reaching out there. So Kokulumando, we're saying we are available to assist in making sure that there is behavior change programs in our institutions of higher learning that Majida are focused on so that they can change and become the agents of change. That our kids begin the curriculum, include the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in there, so that the kids grow up knowing their rights, that when you are touched this way, it's a violation. We also change the rhymes, Minister. Let's come up with rhymes that speaks to GBV and the conduct, the perpetrator. How do we identify the perpetrator? That profiles this, so the kids can be on red alert at all times. I would like to thank you very much, the services, and I hope I did not take too much time. We are available to assist. We use various methods. We use industrial theater to communicate. We use short video clips to communicate messages. So we are the partner that you would need to speak to Majida, because we understand the language, we understand the culture, we understand how difficult it is to just break away from culture. And we know the beauty of change, becoming the Patrick that I am, from being the animal that I was. It is so wonderful to change. And I'd love to see more men saying that, more men standing up and saying, I once was, but I'm enjoying the beauty of just being a human being, of being a father, of being a husband, of being trusted by my family. If we can arrive there, I'm sure South Africa will be a safer, better place for women to go forward. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndadeshai. I khulumile mfowethu. Now it's up to us now. Bafowethu, masikhulumeni. Please, it's in our hands. It's in our hands. Let's mobilize each other. Let's talk. Let's not hide these things. Let's not glorify these acts, like Ndadeshai has indicated. Thank you so much, Kulumandoda. Kulumile, Sekuzwile. We will take the message forward. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Colleagues and our dear guests, I would like to present 2 apologies here as we get into our second session. Mewarona, our minister, would have really loved to be with us here because this subject is very close to her heart. She would have loved to be with us for the duration, for the entire duration of the seminar. But due to other urgent competing responsibilities, she will be leaving us at any time to go and attend to those urgent activities that she's involved in. We therefore would like to table her apology. We know how close she is to this matter. She would have loved to spend the entire day with us. Thank you so much. The second one is that an apology from the Commission for Gender